All right. Hello, Echo Base. James Arnold Taylor here, and I'm going to run through these questions I have from you and answer them the best I can. Here we go. Question number 1. How do you change your voice between roles like
Master Plo Koon,
Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the occasional random character? How do you make sure Plo doesn't pick up a few of Obi-Wan's mannerisms? Okay, well, it's a good question. It doesn't really occur much, I guess because I'm just kind of programmed this way. I've just been blessed to be able to do that ever since I was a little kid, just kind of switch back and forth. And one thing I do when I'm working on a show like Clone Wars is I will get my script and I'll go through and I'll make markings at each character's lines. So Obi-Wan, I usually do like a circle. Plo Koon, I do squiggly lines on the side with straight lines on the top and bottom. So I kind of do little markings so whenever I see those lines coming up, I'm able to kind of switch back and forth between Obi-Wan and
Master Plo Koon quite well. Yes, Jedi Kenobi?
Yes, quite right, Master Plo. So it just kind of happens in my head like a millisecond before it comes out of my mouth, and I'm able to just kind of do it. It's one of those things, and I love doing it. I picture the people in my head, and then my throat just changes to it and goes to it. Question number 2. What work did you do, if any, to emulate the voices of Ewan McGregor and Sir Alec Guinness? Well, of course, I take both of them into consideration when voicing Obi-Wan Kenobi. Primarily, though, I was hired originally to be a voice double for Ewan McGregor during Revenge of the Sith when they were recording that film, and then also for the micro-series of Clone Wars that came out. So I studied Ewan McGregor's voice quite a bit as his Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so Ewan McGregor is doing Sir Alec Guinness doing Obi-Wan Kenobi, so I kind of combine all three and make my own version of Obi-Wan. It's a combination of both, and it's an homage to both of these great actors that have played such an amazing character in the world of Star Wars, in the universe of Star Wars, I should say. So I do my best to pay homage to both, and I think that the fans have been just extremely, extremely kind to me in their letters and fan mail and comments on my Twitter and my Facebook and YouTube pages. So, I'll just keep at it the best I can, but I thank everybody for being so kind. How did you get selected to do the role of Obi-Wan? Well, it was a standard audition process, just like anything else. You go to your agents and they have different things for you to audition for, and this was way back, oh my goodness, back in 2003 for the micro-series of Clone Wars, as I just previously mentioned, and for the Revenge of the Sith video games and things like that. But originally it was for the micro-series, and so I listened to Ewan's voice as Obi-Wan and went in and read the lines, and most of the lines were lines from the films. And so, I just emulated those the best I could, and the rest, as they say, is Star Wars history. And what is your history in Star Wars in general? Look at the segue into question number 4. Were you a big fan before the role? Yes, I certainly was a big fan of Star Wars before getting the part of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I never would have dreamed as a kid that I would have had the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I never could have imagined it as a kid, but I certainly, ever since I was about 7 years old, was when Star Wars first came out, and I saw it, and it changed my life. We no longer played cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians. We played Star Wars, and I was usually Han Solo, and my friend was Luke Skywalker, and we would go around and shoot up his backyard and swing from vines and all those things. And between that and Raiders of the Lost Ark, I had my fill of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg films. I was quite pleased as a kid to grow up in that period of the 80s. So, yes. And what has been your favorite role to work on in your entire career? Well, boy, that's a tough thing. I can't necessarily say that I have one particular favorite. I'm so blessed to be able to work in such a great industry as the voiceover industry, and with so many amazing, talented people, such as the cast of Clone Wars, from D. Bradley Baker and Tom Kane and Corey Burton, these greats, to these amazing on-camera actors like Matt Lanter and Catherine Tabor and Ashley Eckstein, and to name a few. So, I love working on Clone Wars, yet I love doing voices on, Johnny Test, like
Dirk Vegan and
Mr. Mittens and Hank Anchorman, and of course Johnny, Leonardo the Ninja Turtle in the TMNT film, and Ratchet and Ratchet and Clank. Again, all these characters are kind of my regular voice, but those things, as well as video games and Batman: The Brave and the Bold, which I just came off. That was just a great fun to be on that show. But to pick out a favorite is really tricky, you know? I mean, I love whatever I'm doing at the time I'm doing it. You know, when I finish this interview, I'm going to go and do some promos for Fox and Animation Domination coming up next on Fox, you know? So when I'm doing that, that's my favorite thing to be doing. When I'm doing Clone Wars, that's my favorite thing to be doing. If I'm doing Final Fantasy X, Tidus, or anything like that, that's my favorite, or Ratchet, or whatever it is that I'm doing, Johnny Test, I just love doing it at the time, and I try to just live in that moment, as I think that it's so important for each of us to live in the moment. And I think that that's, you know, certainly one of the messages in Star Wars is, you know, for that hope to do right and to do good, but to also be just constantly aware of where you are and what you're doing at that time and enjoy it. You know, certainly that would be something I think as a Jedi you would want to do is take in all your surroundings when you're doing it and appreciate it for what it is at that time. And so I really try to just try to keep favorites down to whatever it is I'm actually working in right at the time. I don't have any particular favorite. And, you know, there you go. So I thank you guys so much for your time. And the Force is quite strong with Echo Base. Indeed. Be well. And may the Force be with you always. See you later.